It's December 11th, and on this day in 2022, Scottish authorities announced that Libyan national Abu Agila Mas'ud has been taken into U.S. custody for his alleged role in the 1988 Pan Am Flight 103 bombing that went down over Lockerbie, Scotland. 270 people were killed that day, 11 on the ground, 259 in the plane, most of them Americans. The plane was heading from London to New York City, and it's believed that the bomb was hidden inside of a cassette tape player in a piece of luggage. This is believed to be in retaliation for a 1986 U.S. bombing of Libya. 2 suspects were indicted in 1991, but it's not until 1999 that Libyan dictator Gaddafi turns them over to the authorities. One of them is convicted, the other is acquitted. And then just last year, a third person is taken into U.S. custody, and he is still awaiting trial for this horrible tragedy. It's December 12th, and on this day in 1913, the Mona Lisa was recovered just 2 years after it had been stolen from the Louvre in Paris. Now, this masterpiece by Leonardo da Vinci became the property of the French monarchy 400 years earlier at the death of da Vinci. It even spent some time in Napoleon's bedroom, apparently. And then it was stolen by a man who had once worked at the Louvre, an Italian by the name of Vincenzo Peruggia. Now, he holds onto it and keeps it in hiding for 2 years, and then it is found in his hotel room in Florence. And it is returned to the Louvre, where it now stands today behind bulletproof glass. What's interesting is that this event helped make the Mona Lisa the popular painting that it is today, and it's a big reason why people wait in those long lines. It's December 13th, and on this day in 1916, 300 Austrian soldiers are killed by an avalanche in the Alps. Now, when we think of World War I, we usually think of the fight against Germany in the trenches on the Western Front. But there were fronts all over the world, and including in the Alps, right there between Italy and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Now, this would have been a challenging place to fight under any circumstances. The terrain is extremely difficult. Supply lines are a huge challenge in that geography. But when winter rolled along, it especially became difficult because you're fighting the cold, you're fighting the ice, and you're fighting those avalanches. And in December of 1916, there was a series of avalanches that wiped out, it's an estimated 10,000 soldiers. And what's interesting is with the melting of the snow in recent years, some of those bodies have been recovered. It's December 14th, and on this day in 1972, Apollo 17, the last mission to the moon, leaves its surface. Joe Engle was originally scheduled to be one of the astronauts on this mission, but he's replaced when the later missions are canceled by Harrison Schmitt. Schmitt, in addition to being an astronaut, was a trained geologist. He joins Eugene Cernan and Ronald Evans on the mission. Schmitt's inclusion proves to be pivotal as he discovers orange rocks on the moon, left over from an ancient volcanic eruption. The lunar rover in Apollo 17 traveled more than any other, a greater distance from the spacecraft than any previous mission, 4.7 miles. This mission also collects more rocks, 250 pounds of them, more than any other mission. And Gene Cernan becomes the last man on the moon. And amazingly, in 2011, a lunar orbiter took photos of the site that include tracks from that lunar. It's December 15th, and on this day in 1961, Nazi SS officer Adolf Eichmann is sentenced to death. During World War II, he helped organize the Holocaust. After the war, he escapes to Argentina. And 15 years later, he's living in hiding just outside Buenos Aires. He's even working in a Mercedes-Benz factory there. He's captured near his home by Israeli agents, including Peter Malkin, and he's whisked back to Israel. This is well documented in a great movie called Operation Finale, which stars Oscar Isaac as Malkin and Ben Kingsley as Adolf Eichmann. Back in Israel, he goes to trial. He's found guilty. He's convicted, therefore, and sentenced to death. And his last words, long live Germany. Do you want to see some more of Mr. Lewis? Of course you do. You're addicted. There's a great video here, another great video here, and you can subscribe right here. Do you want to see some more of Mr. Lewis? Of course you do. You're addicted.